Hi and welcome everyone to another episode of Gaming with Jason, and I am Jason. Thank you for joining me. Today what I'm going to be talking about is the different buildings in which you can build, because this is important to your strategy. Based upon what you build tells you what units you have available, and sometimes people tend to build all kinds of weird stuff not realizing what each one does and what it's there for. So that's what I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of strategy and tip along the way, is like what I use them for, if I use it, or different things like that. So the first one is the army base. The army base is one of the most essential buildings that you can build. It should be one of the first buildings that you build, and then followed by another building, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But you are required to have a level 1 base for a few units, and there is one unit which is the National Guard, which does not require an army base. However, all other land units do require an army base, level 1 to level 3, depending upon what it is that you're trying to build. Most of your armor and stuff like that requires a level 2, and your special forces are going to require a level 3 and 4, depending upon what type of unit that you want to build. The next unit is the naval base. Now, the naval base is for coastal cities, and it is important if you plan on building a navy, which I strongly suggest. I always make sure to build a small navy, if not a large navy, because I have learned that without a navy, you can't really win a game, or at least stay ahead of the competition. I've used it anywhere from creating blockades around my city to prevent people from doing amphibious assaults, all the way to using it to attack another player's city because they don't have anything other than land units. Okay, the next the next building that you're going to be looking at is a recruiting office. Now, a recruiting office is good if you are trying to increase your manpower. Plus, one of the other benefits is that it reduces the overall time that it takes to develop units, to build units. So if you build a recruiting base, it will reduce it by, I think, 5%, and it goes up by, I think it maxes out at about 50% increase on the production time, or excuse me, 50% decrease of the production time of any unit that you're trying to build. Now, if you need to build quick because you are an aggressive player, this is something that I have used as a way to offset a lot of losses. So if you're getting a lot of losses and you have a level 2 or 3 recruiting office, not only does it increase your manpower so that you can keep building and build as much as you possibly can based upon your resources, but it also allows you to build them quicker so that you can get units out to the field quicker, and sometimes that's the difference between winning and losing a major battle, especially if you're going up against a skilled player. So the next building that you're going to be looking at is your air base. Now, everybody needs to have an air attack. You can go with a level 1 if you want the gunship helicopter. Level 2 is your planes. Level 3 is your naval planes. And then level 4 and 5 are your high-end planes, like your AWACS or your bombers, things like that. So those are who you're going to be able to use. So that is the air base. Next thing that you're going to want to do, it's probably the second building that you build. So the first building I always build is an army base, so I can start building infantry right off the bat. I do not build National Guard because they're really not worth the resources, and I tend to steamroll over people that have National Guard. So I always go with the army base and then the infantry. But then the second second building that you're going to need is a what's called an arms industry. Now, the arms industry is needed for the higher end and the specialty units, such as your armor, such as your air assault, and such as other specialty units like your tank destroyer and stuff like that. But with the arms industry, one of the other benefits is that it will also increase your resource output. Now, a lot of people think that the hospital does this, but the hospital does it in a different way. The way that this increases your overall resource production is just based upon the level, and you can go all the way up to, I believe it's 50%, and that way, certain cities. So like you're always going to end up needing supplies if you use the Eastern Doctrine, or if you're using the European or the Western Doctrine, you're going to be using heavy on the components. So those are going to be the cities where you want to build those resources up. Okay, now once it does get conquered, the arms industry does go away, so you don't have to worry about somebody taking away your production. Not that that matters once you've lost a city to begin with. It just means that you're going to have to rebuild it if you take it back. Most of your buildings, with the exception of the Army base, Navy base, and Air base, will be destroyed once the city is taken over. Okay, so the next one is the hospital. Now, the hospital works in a couple of ways. One, it heals your units. Now, I like to get to a level 2 or a level 3 hospital, especially in my cities where I have air bases, because that allows me to not have to constantly produce planes, because they're getting knocked out of the air either by the continuous bombardments that I'm doing, or if I run into somebody that has air superiority fighters. This is a way to be able to heal your units and and not lose them. So usually you want to do at least a level 2 or a level 3 in the cities where you have your air bases, but then you can also transport troops in there so that they can heal up as well. So based upon each level that it goes up, you will be able to get so many extra points per day. So a level 1 gives you 1 point per day, up to 5 points. So you got 5 units, they'll each get 1 point. And then, it goes up to 2 points and 3 points and 4 points per 24 hours. Now, when you get to the higher end ones, I also do this in one of my coastal cities, because I've learned that with my coastal cities, I need to heal my Navy ships because they are expensive and I don't want to have to keep rebuilding them. So therefore, I have a level 3 or higher as far as the hospital goes, because that way I can get my points back and get it back out into the fight a lot quicker. But sometimes you bring a ship down to its last 10 points, then you just send it back to get healed. Okay, one of the other buildings that you have is the secret weapons lab. Now, the secret weapons lab is meant for things like your missiles or your special forces, or for specialty units such as your stealth. Okay, so you're definitely going to want to consider that. I generally, if I do build something like that, I only build it in cities where I have my air base, because I use it for the stealth units. I'm not the type of guy that likes to use missiles, but if you are someone that likes to use warheads or use missiles, then this is definitely something that you're going to need if you're going to want to produce warheads in your cities. Okay, one of the final city buildings that you can build is the bunker. Now, the bunker is designed to protect your population and reduce the overall damage to your units should you, let's say, get bombarded, should you get attacked, or should you get, let's say, somebody decides to attack you with a nuclear warhead. Now, that is something that you have to develop into your strategy. This is something that I've never really worked on building up, except for when I know a player is just going around nuking everybody. Then I make sure to do it in my capital city, because I want to be able to preserve my troops and preserve my units. Because once a nuke gets dropped on you, you've got like so many squares around where the radiation starts affecting your troops, and if you don't get your troops out of there quick enough, then let's say it happens while you're AFK. If you don't get your troops out of there quick enough, they will all die from radiation poisoning, even if you've got the whole MBC attack technology researched. Okay, so that's what the purpose of a bunker is. If you really want to reduce the overall impact and and save them, from the high attrition from being attacked. Now, this could work if you are the type of person that is AFK a lot and you want to put it in your cities and make sure that you station a few units in your cities. It will prolong them so that they can last a little bit longer. But you're probably going to want to put a hospital in those cities as well. That way, after they get attacked, they can heal, and then it makes your city can virtually become not impenetrable, but they're going to lose a lot just to be able to take the city. So they think, oh, I'm just going to send 1 or 2 units, or I'm going to send a small division in there. Well, if you have the troops to be able to defend against it, plus you have a bunker which is reducing the overall damage that's being done and it's also reducing the damage that's being done to some of your buildings as well. Again, and then with the hospital, once they win the battle, because it's you get more points defending than you do attacking, so you can repel. Usually, you have to you look at it like a 2-to-1 ratio. If they have 2 units, you need to send 4. If they have 4 units, you need to send 8. Okay, and then that's where your aerial attack comes in, and so on and so forth. There's a lot more into the strategy, and I know you guys, if you've been watching long enough, or playing long enough, you know these different strategies that you can use, but the bunker is there as a way to protect yourself. Now, one other unit or one other building, you can only build one of these. This is probably the most important building next to your army base and your arms industry and your air base, is the headquarters. Now, I see a lot of new players. What they like to do is they forget that they are supposed to rebuild their headquarters. So instead of losing their capital city and then rebuilding their headquarters somewhere else, or if you know that your city is about to be lost, then you want to move your headquarters to a different city while it's under attack, so that you can at least prevent somebody from taking over all of your land. Because here's what happens when you lose your headquarters, you lose your capital city. It's your headquarters, not your capital city, that you lose. And when that goes away, what happens is okay, so the morale of your cities is directly affected by its closeness to your headquarters. So if you put your headquarters, like, let's say, in the center of the map of like where all the area that you've taken, then it's going to go out there and it's going to spread evenly. But the thing is, your homeland cities may not, because especially if you move the battlefield up, your homeland cities may end up losing some morale because they're farther away. This is just it's just the way that the game is built. There's a lot of logical reasoning behind it, that the farther away that you get, the harder it is for morale to be improved, and the lower the morale is going to be. So again, you want to be able to have the balance between close to your homeland cities, plus also having it closer to the front lines as well, because that way you don't have to deal with rogues as much. That's one of the things that you can use or implement into your strategy, is how to use your headquarters. Okay, so out in the provinces or the garrisons, there are a couple of buildings that you want to be able to build. Now, you can build an air base. You can build, which is the same thing as your air base. It's called an airfield. But you also have a combat outpost. A combat outpost is really good, and the way that I like to use it is if I know somebody's attacking and I can intercept them, because you get higher points for defending, is you want to arrive there within a couple of minutes of them arriving at that center junction point to take over. And if you have a combat outpost there, you can have less units and reduce their overall point loss or casualties by having that the combat outpost there. Now, and the thing is after each attack, what you want to do is you want to make sure to repair that, and for the next round, and you can kind of do that in the midst. That's the nice thing is, and it only takes about an hour to build, maybe 2 hours at most. And so this is something that can go up quickly and can kind of, if you're defending against an attack, especially in your homeland, this is a great way to be able to defend. The other one that you will want to use is pontoons. Now, if you take over an area and you don't want to do an amphibious assault onto a city, because you actually you don't get a lot of the attack bonuses unless you're using like the Marines and the amphibious assault, because once you're coming off that beachhead, you're a lot more vulnerable. So if you want to be able to do a land attack, if you're able to build a pontoon just outside of the city in one of the different garrisons, you can come on land and then attack it from a different direction. So there are ways and uses for the pontoon. Okay, guys, I hope that you guys learned something. Just to give you guys a little bit of information as far as what my upload schedule is going to be, kind of how I'm going to do this moving forward. I originally started this channel as a tutorial, and I have done a lot as far as tutorials go. Now what I'm going to be doing is probably some playthroughs, some new tutorials as the game updates, or topics that I did not cover before I went on my trip. And so my upload schedule, I will be uploading, I'm going to try once a week. If at worst it's going to be once a month, but I have so much content here that you guys can learn off of that unless I'm doing a playthrough or just doing game updates as far as how the algorithm works, as far as how the attack and the defend and the point units and the doctrines, there's updates that are happening in the game, such as there is a unit coming out that will it's one of the season units that's supposed to be coming out here very soon. It is a frigate, but it allows you to station helicopters on it. I think that is going to be very valuable. I'm going to make sure to get myself a season pass for that season, just because I want to make sure that I have that unit. And the cool thing is once you buy a season pass for whatever season that unit was, you'll always get it whether your season pass expires or not. Okay, so anyways, guys, you know how to help the channel. Become a subscriber. There's other things down in the description if you are interested in that. And I'm also working on a website as well. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.